Hey guys, Jediwarlock here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today, I'm going to be recapping my adventure on Melia, the Blood Elf Priestess, as we made our way to level 10 and beyond here in the Eversong Woods starting region. I zoned in right in Falcon Wing Square, where we left off last time, and immediately went upstairs and accepted the quest from our class trainer. I also then went outside and accepted a couple of other quests from the NPCs in the area, which basically involved just scouting around the ruins of Silvermoon nearby and dealing with some of the threats contained within. The nearby wanted poster also tasked us with defeating the leader of the corrupted elves known as the Wretched. Out in the ruins of Silvermoon, you can see here, just began to defeat some of the wretched enemies as well as pick up these arcane power crystals while simultaneously dealing with some of these arcane sentries that had turned against their elven allies. Lastly, I made my way to the Commons Hall area of the ruins, where the leader of the Wretched and one of his bodyguards decided to give me a warm welcome, but I was able to respond in kind and loot the quest item needed to complete the final quest. This actually got me all the way to level 7, and afterward I decided to seek out the North Sanctum, where the mage there told me to keep on going to the West Sanctum, where there were much more serious threats to deal with. On the way, I ran into a rather naughty apprentice who had misplaced his master's spellbook at the bottom of the river. Upon arriving at the West Sanctum, I was confronted with some rather unfriendly arcane elementals, as well as a Darnassian intruder belonging to presumably the Night Elf faction, but I was able to deal with him. Upon returning the battle plans the elf carried to the local captain, I hit level 8 and decided to pay a stop to the local trainer once again before heading back out into the field. I was able to learn a small heal over time spell as well as a threat reduction spell, which really doesn't help a lot in single-player combat. I was then tasked with returning to the North Sanctum and quietly dealing with the Dwarven ambassador who turned out to be a spy for the Alliance. The captain seemed pleased with my efforts to thwart the infiltrators and rewarded me with some rather nice experience in return before sending me onward to Fair Breeze Village. Before heading off to the next quest hub, however, I decided to make a stop at the Dead Scar, where a group of rangers was in need of my priestly blessings and needed some help dealing with the scourge threat in the area. I thought this quest would be pretty easy considering they were so willing to help me kill the enemies. However, when I brought a whole pack of skeletons toward them, mere moments later, they were extremely more apathetic to my cause. I was able to run away from the skeletons and was able to deal with each of the skeletons individually to complete the quest. After finishing this quest, I returned to my trainer and completed the class quest for a sweet new robe, and then decided to head back out to talk to that one wizard guy whose book I retrieved. He wasn't too happy with his apprentices though, and so I was tasked with punishing them by turning them into boars for a short time. After finally arriving at Fairbreeze Village and accepting a couple new quests, I headed back out toward the Dead Scar to help another detachment of rangers who was having some trouble. I then traveled to the Dead Scar once again and helped deal with the scourge threat along this section of the region before meeting up with this apprentice here who wanted some help collecting some corrupted soil samples that had been tainted by the scourge. I went out, gathered the soil samples, and then returned to her and then protected her while she wanted to perform a ritual on the soil to see if it could be cured of its taint. After this quest was complete, I was then checking to see what would happen next, and then I was unceremoniously disconnected. This is what I like to refer to as a minor inconvenience, as I was forced to repeat about 20 minutes of content, but I did get back on track and finish the quest that I had set out to do. After that, I decided to gather some lynx pelts for another one of the short quests in the area before deciding to check out Saltharil's Haven, one of the biggest party places in all of the Eversong Woods. Lord Saltharil himself tasked me with gathering all sorts of party supplies from around the zone, but first I decided to visit the Sunsail Anchorage, where the Wretched were gaining ground in the region. After dealing with some of the thugs, I returned to Fairbreeze Village, bought some of the party supplies, and then decided to go on a short adventure and venture into the Golden Bough Pass. This was actually a very big moment in our road to level 10, as I hit level 10 right at the Golden Bough Tower, and then was sorely reminded of my lack of skill and expertise when a Shadow Tree of Death took me to the Shadow Realm. Technically, I had reached level 10, and I was tempted to call off the episode right here, but I wasn't giving up yet. We still had plenty of Eversong Woods quest left to complete. I accepted this breadcrumb quest into the Ghostlands, but we didn't need it yet, so I put it on the back burner on my quest log. I then returned to Falconwing Square, visited the good old trainer, and got my abilities up to speed if I was going to be dealing with some of these level 10 quests, and hopefully was not going to be dealing with them with level 8 abilities. I then decided to run over to the still functioning side of Silvermoon City and buy one of the party supplies requested by Lord Southoril. 2 down, 1 to go. I then traveled to the Farstrider Retreat on the eastern side of the map, where I talked with some of the rangers, bought the last party supply, and then decided to help out Magister Duskwither, who was having trouble with some arcane elementals in his formerly functional training area. I traveled down to the Duskwither Academy, where I met this nice apprentice, helped the groundskeeper deal with some of these mana elementals, and then took the teleporter to the top of the academy, where I was able to shut down the arcane crystals that were kind of responsible for the strange effects and strange elementals in the area before I returned back to the surface and returned to Magister Duskwither for yet another robe upgrade, the Fallen Apprentice's robe. I was even able to return the Magister's journal that he'd lost when the Academy had been overrun, which was a nice little bonus quest. I then decided to pay the Forest Trolls a visit, who were located up in the mountains on the eastern side of the woods, where I greatly underestimated the abilities of these Amani Berserkers. These guys may look harmless, but once you get them down to about 25% health, they go ham, activate their Berserk mode, and proceeded to delete my priest not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times, all in one encampment, before I decided to play the sneaky card and sneak into the camp to talk to this troll captive. The troll wanted me to take out the forest troll leader, who was located on the other side of the lake, but he did offer a wand as a reward, so I accepted. Upon reaching the other encampment on the other side, I was greeted with more super friendly forest trolls. I felt like I was doing pretty good until I hit this double duo of forest troll guards protecting the leader, and I was again reminded of the Berserkers' uncanny tendency to two-shot me as soon as they go below 25% health. I did pull a 200 IQ move though when I was able to resurrect my ghost above the building that they had killed me in, and so I was actually right next to the forest troll leader. I was able to take him out pretty easily by hiding on the other side of this little pillar here at the top before dealing with the axe thrower, who I had also aggroed while I was fighting him. I then realized I was stuck at the top of the tower, and there was a final berserker protecting me from the staircase I needed to get to. I was very concerned, but by some miracle I was able to get a critical melee swing with my staff, which saved my life. I then returned to the forest troll captive, where he gave me his wand and seemed satisfied to sit in there until the end of his days. Upon returning to the Farstrider Retreat, I turned in a couple of quests, got some really solid experience points, and then decided to pay Lord Southrill a visit and deliver all of his party supplies. I then traveled back through the Golden Bough Pass and felt ready to take on the Dark Shadow Trees of Death once again. I took down their leader and was actually able to loot this ceremonial necklace from the leader's body, which did pay off, as it did have some significance to the overall story. I was able to visit Whitebark's spirit using the necklace and basically make peace with the elemental spirits of the area, which was pretty cool and a nice addition to the quest line there. I then traveled a short distance away to the Runestone, where I met this mage, who tasked me with visiting another Runestone and powering it up using this arcane crystal, and I had to defend it from the attacking wraiths until the Runestone could be activated. You can see here, just finishing up the protection part of the quest, the crystal despawns once the quest is complete. You can see right here, just kind of fades away. And then I returned to the quest giver and finished up that little quest line. I then ventured to the border of the Ghostlands, where I met this forsaken apothecary and this wounded ranger who had been poisoned by some of the local beasts. I had to go out and gather some plagued blood samples from the creatures right on the edge of the plague lands you can see here, before returning and healing the ranger. He wasn't able to continue his journey though, so I took up his parcel and delivered it to the town of Tranquillion myself, where the majority of the Ghostlands quests were located at. I decided to basically call it good at this point and only return to Silvermoon City to train, as I was level 12 and we basically made it through all of the Eversong Woods content. You can see flying in here on the Dragonhawk between Tranquillion and Silvermoon. Landed. I was actually able to go inside the Court of the Sun in Silvermoon City, where I sought the official priest trainer of the city here. You can see I learned Inner Fire, a very important priest ability, as well as just some upgrades to some other abilities, essentially. And yeah, not sure where the journey is going to go from here, but you can see we did make it all the way to level 10 on Melia, our Blood Elf Priest today. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment if you're new, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until next time, peace.